What's up, everybody? My name is Ryan Turford, and welcome to Zelda Wednesdays right here on youtube.com/Ryan Turford. Thanks to your votes, both on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, we are doing the Legend of Zelda every single Wednesday until we finish Link to the Past. And then I have a couple other games in mind, Zelda related to do. But again, I'm still trying to pull all that together. So at least what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Zelda Link to the Past, and then whatever else we feel like playing. Of course, this is the Legend of Zelda on the NES, the original Legend of Zelda, where it all began, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you can find all these videos every single Wednesday, noon Eastern. Now, we did the Mega Man series before, and I was able to finish all of those in one sitting, but that's probably not going to happen with the Legend of Zelda, mainly because the Legend of Zelda, I don't know if you've ever played the original game or any of the Zelda games for that matter, they're all pretty long, so for the most part, we're going to probably break these up over two-part episodes. So we're going to jump into our first game. Of course, I'm just going to call him Link because, you know, his name's Link, and that's what we do. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Do-do-do-do. Now, of course, if you haven't played the original Legend of Zelda, there are a lot of old ladies and old men around the environment, and they will give you cryptic messages, most of which don't make any sense because they were translated pretty poorly back in the day. But of course, they're very, very quotable, and they're quoted in a lot of other games that came after The Legend of Zelda. Of course, The Legend of Zelda, in case you didn't know much about it, it came out originally on the Famicom disk system in 1986 in Japan. It was pretty revolutionary because it was one of the first major games to actually include a save system. Because on the Famicom disk system, one of the key advantages of that particular version of the Famicom is it allowed you to have save games, because it had a way to save the games on it, which is pretty cool. And then, when the game came to North America a year later, it actually came out the same month as the original Metroid in August of 1987. Basically, they were able to add a battery to the chip of the cartridge that allowed the game to save, which is pretty cool. So again, The Legend of Zelda, one of the earliest versions of a open world adventure game that also allowed you to save, because like I said, the games weren't doing that. A lot of times, like you saw with Mega Man when we played that, there are passwords. You had the password system. The password system sucks, and I'm so glad it doesn't exist anymore. Because yeah, just having to jot down passwords was the worst. Especially because there are always some like asinine 30-character combination. They were just as bad as, say, like Xbox Live codes for things. If you've ever redeemed anything on, say, Xbox Live before. Of course, I'm doing pretty badly. One thing to note: I'm playing this on the Wii U Virtual Console, and I'm using the Wii U gamepad to play. Why? Because it has the best D-pad that I've found on a Wii controller, and that says a lot. Especially because I haven't been able to find a regular Wiimote in the longest time, and I'm not going to go buy one at a flea market or something. Anyways, we're going to go into our first dungeon. Now, one thing I should note before we sort of get too far into this is that The Legend of Zelda original, I haven't played too many times. I haven't actually ever beaten the game, to tell you the honest truth. And this is the first time I'm going to beat it, which I'm actually pretty excited about. I usually get pretty far. Usually, when I play it, I usually get to at least the 6th or 7th temple. That's probably the farthest I've ever gotten. It's just that, for the most part, without reading a guide or consulting a video or something else, it is very difficult, because the game is very obtuse. Again, as a kid, what we would end up doing in the 80s is A, you would ask all your friends on the playground about it, or B, you would play it for months and months and months and months on end. You'd have nothing else to play because games were really, really expensive back then. So for the most part, it was not... again, this game I didn't actually play as a kid, so I haven't really gone through that experience, which is why we just died. Again, expect that to happen a lot, but The thing is, with death in The Legend of Zelda, it doesn't really have much consequence. If we're in a dungeon like this one, it'll just port us back to the beginning of the dungeon. We don't really lose any of our rupees or our weapons or anything like that. We do start at 3 hearts. That's just always what you come back as. Because you only get 1 life in this game, which is kind of annoying. Especially with 3 hearts. Later in the game, that's going to be a bit more of a problem, but honestly, this early in the game, it's almost inconsequential at this point. Now, the reason why you're actually not seeing me skip past a lot of these enemies is, in this game, what you sort of want to do is you want to kill as many of the enemies that drop items as possible, because you want to save up as many rupees as you can for later. You have a maximum of 255 rupees, but you're going to want to save them for the more powerful items later on in the game. So, of course, you'll probably see me skip over some of the enemies, like these blobs, for example, that we don't really need to destroy because, honestly, they don't drop anything anyways. So there's no real reason for us to kill them. I actually forgot the compass, though, so we're going to go back and go get the compass. I love the music in the original Legend of Zelda. It is very simplistic, but all the music's really catchy. And when you play this game, it puts into perspective where a lot of the other music from The Legend of Zelda really came from. For the most part, it all really comes down to the different variations of the music from this game are some of the more popular Zelda tunes, which is kind of crazy. Again, you also see that with Zelda 2, although the music from that game is probably less used. Of course, most of you guys know the temple theme from Zelda 2, from the Super Smash Bros. Stage that involves the temple as well. Alright, so there we go. So we got the compass, and now we can get the map. Of course, these blobs don't really drop anything, so there's no real reason to kill them, but we do want to go up here. The big red flashing thing, in case you couldn't guess, is where the big boss is. Because basically in this game, what you're trying to do is you can really do these dungeons in any order. You can go straight to the last one if you want to. Of course, you might be missing some of the power-ups to get through it properly, but you can go to it if you want to. It's very non-linear in that way. But basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect the 8 pieces of the Triforce. As per usual for a Zelda game, you're trying to collect the Triforce for one reason or another. And it's scattered through 8 different dungeons. So we can, like I said, we could start with this dungeon, or we could go to any of the other ones. The red flashing is for the Triforce piece and not necessarily for the boss. But there's always a boss before a Triforce piece. That's just how this game works. I just love how different these areas are. It reminds me of Mario when you run through here. I always think of like going down one of the warp pipes. It's pretty cool. But it definitely shows that Miyamoto made this game after Mario Brothers, because it really it utilizes a lot of the same art assets, or it's designed in such a way that it makes it feel almost like their DNA is very similar, despite the fact that they couldn't be any more different as games, which is pretty cool. So the one crazy thing that people usually do is they usually grind out so they can buy the bombs early, but we were just lucky enough just to get them on a drop. So we can actually, because any of the items in this game that you just earn from drops, you can buy later on in the game from resellers, or you can just find them naturally if you know where to look in the game. So once again, we died. We sort of just started back at the beginning, but no big deal. We can just kill all these skeletons again. Usually, like, those guys are a lot easier to kill once we get the boomerang, which is actually what we're going to get as soon as we kill those guys again. And the main reason why, like, we could use our bombs to make this a little bit easier. The main reason why I don't use them and opt for dying over using the bombs is, as I mentioned, there's not much of a death penalty at this point, but also, the bombs are precious. We're going to use them a lot in the overworld when we eventually leave this dungeon again. Because the one thing about this game in particular over other Zelda games, there are a ton, and I mean a literal ton of secrets in the overworld. And you really need sort of every last bomb just to do that, or kill some of the later enemies in other dungeons. Alright, so now we can easily kill these guys. Again, being at full health in this game, more than any other Zelda game probably, is very, very, very important. Because that allows us to shoot the sword at enemies rather than just having to run up and hit them. Because look how much easier that was to take these guys out with that. So now we have the boomerang. The boomerang, what it does, number one, you throw it and it comes back to you like a boomerang. But the other thing it does it actually stuns enemies, which can be quite useful against very troublesome enemies, like these guys. These guys, what happens if they hit you is they will actually teleport you right to the front of the dungeon again. It's just like dying, essentially. But they don't actually kill you. Again, like I said before, the main reason we take them out is just in case they drop items, which we'll need later. Alright, so we're at our first boss. For the most part, if we just sit here and just aim for his head, he's very easy to kill from a distance. He's more of a pain in the ass to kill if you don't have your sword at full power. Just like all the bosses will be in this game. So, there we go. So, he's down, and here is our first Triforce piece. Do-do-do-doom. 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 Boom-da-doom. Alright, so now what we're going to sort of do is we're going to sort of comb the overworld, because we're going to want to collect rupees for new items, and as well we're going to find a lot of the secrets on the overworld. The main reason we do that is because we are going to need them for the second dungeon, which isn't entirely difficult on its own, but it can be if we don't collect any of the items. It just makes it so much easier for us. So we're going to go back, and what we're going to want to buy first is the blue candle. The blue candle will allow us to basically, number one, find all of the secrets in the overworld, because you have to burn down some bushes, but you also can use the candle to light up dark rooms, which will come in handy a little bit later. But I know that there is also a little secret over here. We're going to just equip a bomb and do that. It's a secret to everybody. Again, this is something that's going to come up a lot, actually. That's the quote whenever you find secret rupees. And there are a lot of them in the environment, so we're going to try and track down as many of them as we can before we go to the next dungeon. Also, just wanted to give you guys a heads up while we're sort of going through this part, which is a little bit less interesting than say the rest of the game, is that the vote that you guys participated in was actually a split, because again, it was over a couple of different networks, so you might have seen on Twitter, for example, Legend of Zelda won the vote, but in fact, it was a tie between this and Ninja Gaiden. So actually, on Fridays, we're actually going to be doing Ninja Gaiden as well, so every Friday will be Zelda until we're done with all the games, and then every Friday will be Ninja Gaiden. So I'm pretty excited, actually. I'm glad you guys picked this. It gave me a great chance to go back and play this game again, as well as Zelda 2, which is actually a lot of people's least favorite Zelda games, but it's actually my favorite for some god-awful reason. Don't ask me why, it just is, okay? I don't know what it is about Zelda 2, but I love it more than any other person really should. I like the fact that they tried a lot of different ideas. Whether or not all of them worked or not, I have a lot of respect for them trying new things with that. Because it could have been just as easy to come up with another game that's exactly the same as this version of Zelda, but I actually have a lot of respect for them for changing it up a bit. So basically where we're sort of going to go right now is we're going to go to Death Mountain. There's a deserty area here, but the main reason we want to go to Death Mountain is because we can unlock our next sword rather than use the wooden sword the whole time. The wood sword can be a bit of a pain in the ass to use, and this will just make our lives so much easier. Of course, these guys are sort of giving me a hard time. I kind of wish I actually was able to find an NES cartridge of this game, because I would love to play this game with an NES controller. The Wii U gamepad, surprisingly, not my best friend. So we found a heart here, and of course, in this area you could also choose a healing potion, but we will always choose the heart whenever that comes up. Alright, so up here is what we're looking for. So we got a big waterfall area. We're going to equip the boomerang to kill this centaur guy who does a ton of damage. We're going to want to sort of keep him stun locked as long as we can. Of course, this Zora that's shooting at us, and yes, they are actually Zoras, can be a big pain in the ass. Alright, so there we go. So we have unlocked the white sword, which is pretty awesome. Again, this will basically kill a lot of enemies in one hit that we were having problems with before. There's another sword that is higher than this one that we'll get a lot later in the game. Probably not even on this episode even, because it's still a little far away. The main reason I actually walked into that is because if you die while in your overworld, it brings you back to the starting point, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. Where we're sort of done with that area. And speedrunners will typically use that trick in order to reset themselves back to the beginning of the overworld. And as I mentioned, since death has no penalty other than reducing you to 3 hearts, of course, there's no reason not to do that if you want to quickly get back to sort of the starting area, which is what we wanted to do. God, there are so many freaking fairies in this game. I mean, they are very, very useful because you do, like I said, you do lose a lot of health in this game. Especially if you're sort of new to this game like I am anyways. So once again, we're going to grab another heart piece. Again, this will be more beneficial to us when we get to the next dungeon. Now, I'm not actually going to go down into this area yet, but I am going to uncover it since we're here. That'll come in handy later. You'll see in a bit. Fucking Zoras. They used to piss me off so much as a kid, because I played this game a couple times at friends' places and just couldn't get into it because of the non-linear nature of it and the fact that you had to explore so much. And I just, as I mentioned, I didn't have enough time to play it. But man, those Zoras used to piss me off so much as a kid. I mean, they are kind of aggravating now, but... Alright, so here we are. We are at the second dungeon. And in this dungeon, we will unlock... Not much, actually. But that's okay. We'll mostly be grinding for rupees and other things. No. Ah, damn it. I was jamming the up button on the D-pad on this controller, and it was not going. These guys are actually a huge pain in the ass if you don't have full health, so we're going to try and sort of conserve ourselves against them, because, as I mentioned, they can be a bit of a pain if we're not careful. Especially because if you're trying to chase them down with the sword, what they'll do is they are very sporadic with their movements, and a lot of times they'll just quickly spin around and whack you in the face just as you catch up with them finally. And unfortunately, they're enemies that you actually cannot stun lock with the boomerang, so you actually have to fight them head on with the sword. Oh, damn it! All right. There we go. I kind of wish you would have dropped a heart piece. Now these enemies here don't actually deal any damage to you, but what they will do is they will disable your sword for a period of time. So what you sort of want to do is you can walk into them as much as you want, you just can't do much against them. I mean, you can just walk into them all day if you really want to. Alright, so here is the boss. Of course, we're actually just going to blow him up, basically. Take the heart piece, and then what we'll do is I'm actually going to grab the Triforce piece now, and then walk right back into the dungeon. Because what it'll do is it'll refill our health, because there is one item we do need to get from this dungeon, which is the raft. And since we don't actually have the raft yet, let's go back in and get it. The raft, what it'll do is it'll allow us to go to very, very select areas in the environment. It doesn't allow you to openly sail, but what it'll do is it'll allow us to go to one of the next dungeons. We'll sail straight through it, as well as it'll allow us to collect certain heart pieces and other things down the line. Of course, this stopwatch stops all the enemies. I typically don't try and grab it unless basically all the enemies are basically set up to be hit. So if we go over here, we can grab the compass, which again doesn't really do us any good. It basically, by that green mark, it's indicating that we've already collected the Triforce piece. So we don't actually need to grab the compass for much. Which is why you're actually not going to see me grab the map unless I really have to. But we're going to want to defeat all these enemies because we need to get in that door that's down there. God, I'm getting really lucky with these fairies. Again, I'm sort of getting them when I don't need them, but I'm getting them aplenty, something that usually does not happen to me too often in this game. So again, with these guys, as I mentioned, I sort of want to keep at least a couple squares space from them, or else we're going to run into a situation like last time. Because the next room is actually going to be even tougher with these guys, because there's going to be more of them, but not the barricades that'll sort of shield us. And in a way, we could actually, if we wanted to, we could just run for the raft, which is just down here. And like I said, what the raft will allow us to do is get us to the next dungeon, and as well sort of allow us to collect some more stuff in the overworld. So again, we'll fight our way out, because we don't really need anything else in this dungeon. There are no other heart pieces or power-ups or anything else that we're really missing. There is a piece of information, if you had never played this game before, that you can uncover, but even if we die at this point and it resets us to the beginning, it's not a big deal. At this point, I'm just sort of grinding these guys for rupees, if we could get anything. No? Okay, maybe not. Okay, so the slimes are not back. But they're back in this room. Alright, so we've got enough rupees. We can buy the next thing I sort of wanted to buy, which is the shield, which was in that place that I burned down with that bush that we didn't go down. Of course, even if we die here, I'm actually okay with that, because it will just put us back at the beginning, which is where we're kind of walking back to anyways, like that. Like I said, we can actually use death to our advantage in this game. It's not like Mega Man, where basically if you die, bad things happen to you, or you basically have to continue, which is sort of the mark of shame, whereas in this game, like I said, we're going to sort of use death to our advantage anyways. Which is kind of a weird thing to say. It's not very many games you actually will do that, like you'll die on purpose. So if we go up here, and then go across, that port over there we can use to sail to a dungeon. Of course, we are not ready to go there yet, but we will be soon. So here we go. This will allow us to buy the upgraded shield. Boy, this is really expensive. Now that shield is the same one that you saw in the other stores for 120. But that particular area gives us it as a discount. So that's the reason we buy it there as opposed to the other area. And see how much easier those guys are now that we have this particular sword. Boom. Alright, so now we are at full health. Those particular propeller enemies, we can't do anything about at this point. None of our weapons affect them. Except for bomb. I think bombs might affect them, but as I mentioned, I'm trying to sort of save them. Our maximum is 8, so we're at our max, but just in case we run into any things while we're on our way to our next destination, ladies and gentlemen, which would be the next dungeon. One cool thing with the boomerang is you can actually pick up items with it. Something that I didn't actually realize until playing this game a lot later. Of course, these items... it's 130, not 120. But that's the shield we have equipped that we could have bought from there as well. And we don't want to go this way, we want to go up. And we're doing pretty well, and in fact, you may have noticed during that last dungeon it said level 3. I usually actually do that one before this dungeon, just cause. I don't really have a particular reason why I do it that way, I just usually do it that way. When we're in fact going to go to dungeon 2 next. Now, the real question is, do I remember where it is? I know it's around here somewhere. And this map is really, really confusing because it is totally blank. And what we used to do as kids is we actually used to draw the maps on graph paper in order to remember where the fuck everything was in this goddamn game. Or in, like, any game at this time. Because this game reminds me a lot of Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2, where it's very, very, very much... very non-linear, and you can sort of approach everything at your own pace, but it also can lead to you just walking around in circles for a while, even if you know sort of the exact layout of where everything is. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, I haven't played this game as much as the other Zelda games, and in fact haven't beaten it, so I don't always remember where everything is. No, not that way. Fuck, where the fuck is it? Oh my god, I feel like such a noob right now. I can't remember where the fuck it is. Oh god damn it. I know it's around here somewhere. I know it's in these woods. It's not up there. Alright, so we're back here again. And I know you don't cross the desert to get to it. You have to navigate through it through here somewhere. Come back, fairy. So we got a fairy fountain there. Again, we don't really need one. Shoots and misses. Oh, I turned away at the last second there. I believe we can actually burn this bush down. Or I missed the bush. Like a, like a noob. Of course, that leads us to Dungeon 8, which we don't want to go to yet. It's a secret to everybody. Bo-do-do-do. It's a secret to everybody. Alright, so it's not up here. And it's not up here. Let's see. Is it this way? Ah, I think I found it. Sorry about that, everyone. I got a little bit lost. I'm an old man, so as a result, I get lost very often. This is it here. Sorry about that. The map is very, very, very confusing, as I said, and all of it just looks the same to me. Although I do like the look of the little fishy. He's just got like, he's like they got this like look of disgust on his face. He's just like, how dare you do that to whatever you're doing that to. So now we're in level 2, quote unquote. Even though it's the third dungeon we're doing, like as I mentioned, you can actually do most of the dungeons out of order. There are some you really can't avoid. For example, when you get to Dungeon 4, in order to even get to it, you need the raft, and then you need the raft to even complete but not the raft. Sorry, you unlock the ladder, which you need to in order to complete it. So we're gonna grab the compass, which shows us that the Triforce piece is way the fuck up there. But for the most part, this dungeon is literally when you see the map, you'll see it. It's basically just a straight line that goes straight up. So it's actually a pretty easy dungeon to navigate. Not even like the last one, which was even more complicated than this one. Again, these snake guys can be a bit of a pain in the ass when they run at you in groups. Like I didn't even have enough time to switch to my sword for my boomerang on that one. So we're definitely going to want that. Now, if only one of these guys would drop hearts, for God's sake. Oh, man. This reminds me of playing the original Metroid as well, because in all the extra Metroid games after the first one, and just like all the Zelda games after the first Zelda, you always start back at full health when you die, but in this one, you start back at 3 health. And in Metroid, it's the same way. In the original, you start with 30, which is, for Metroid people, that's hardly any, because even if you have E-tanks, it doesn't even fill them. And of course we died there, but that's okay. We can just run through that again. It's because we were talking about Metroid, and we were very distracted by that. And then we went through that door before. We don't need to go through there again. We got 125 rupees. The next item we're looking to buy, we want to get to 250 rupees in order to get it. So we're not going to buy anything for a little while anyways. But that's sort of why I'm taking my time to kill a lot of these guys, because we don't really have to, but it is useful to get as many of the rupees as we can. So as I mentioned, the dungeon itself, pretty straightforward, huh? Huh? See what I did there? Yeah, I know. It's a lame joke. Leave me alone. Now, this room we're going to want to exercise extreme caution in. Of course, we didn't, and therefore we died. But in that room, we're actually going to want to go back to it, because that room will actually allow us to unlock a more powerful boomerang. Which we are going to totally want. Again, these snake guys, I just want to sort of avoid them because they are sort of the bane of my existence right now. Though they will actually be a lot easier to take out once we get the upgraded boomerang, because that allows us to extend how far the boomerang can shoot. Because the boomerang right now has pretty pathetic range, and it is a little bit slower to use than the other one. There we go. Boom. We unlocked a key, and if we go this way, we should be able to get back to that room. Of course, these fish guys are a big pain in the ass on the sides. Thank God. Alright. So now we have the magical boomerang, which is basically the same as the original boomerang, but its speed is a little bit faster. You can fire it in multiple different directions, and it goes really far, which will be useful later. So here we got a mini boss. It's a little lava guys. They're not really harmless. Shit. So these bats aren't really helpful for anything. I kind of hate fighting them, not because they're difficult to beat, but because they're sort of useless, because when you kill them, they don't really drop anything. Same with these blobs. For the most part, they don't really serve much of a purpose except blocking me from the door. But now we could use the key to get through there. Or we can go up here and find out Dodongo dislikes smoke. You gotta watch out for Dodongo. He dislikes smoke. He does not like it. We'll just use the bomb to get us through here rather than go around. And of course, that noise basically means that Dodongo is behind that door. Dodongo is the boss for this dungeon. You may know him from Ocarina of Time. He's the big dinosaur-looking thing that lives in Death Mountain. He's actually pretty easy to beat in this game. His strategy very similar to Ocarina of Time as well, which is where they totally pulled it from. Basically, we're gonna throw down a bomb. He's gonna eat said bomb, and then he's gonna explode. Boom. So now we've got a ton of hearts, and now they're about to be refilled, thank God. So there we go, our third Triforce piece. Now we're gonna need to grind for rupees a bit, but we should have ourselves a little bit of an accelerated rate gathering them, since we have a lot of items at our disposal in order to get rupees a lot quicker. Because there will be secret ones in the environment that we're able to just grab, for the most part. So that's what you're going to sort of see me do now, is we're going to sort of go through all the areas where I know of where there are rupees, and sort of just grab rupees, like a madman. A secret is in the tree at the dead end. Thanks, old man. Now, the main reason why we're grinding for this particular item is because we actually need the blue ring in order to go to the next area. I mean, we can actually do it without it, but it'll make our lives a lot easier, since it basically does help with damage absorption. And the next dungeon is particularly painful because while the enemies in the dungeon itself are not actually difficult, there are actually no enemies that drop health powers at all. Like, they're very, very few and far between. So we sort of want to watch sort of our health loss in that particular dungeon, which is why sort of getting anything we can to help out with that, whether it be the blue ring or other things, it will definitely be helpful. Show this to the old woman. We've unlocked the letter, one of the most key Zelda items of all time. And by key, I mean, what the fuck were they thinking? Why is a letter an item? I mean, I guess you use letters in other Zelda games as well, but it's still weird. It's weird. Let's play a money-making game. Yeah, I don't think so. That's the tree the old man spoke of that had the secret. The secret of another old man hiding in the tree. Man, these old guys just like to live in trees. It's weird. It's kind of crazy when you play this game because it really makes you think that this is sort of where a lot of the open world game design really came from. Because this is really one of the first examples of a very non-linear open world game, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. That it goes far back, like this far back even. And then eventually, like, Grand Theft Auto took that template and ran with it after games like Link to the Past and others sort of came out. Now I'm going to show you the raft. That's what you do with the raft. Of course, we don't want to go to this dungeon yet, so we're going to take the raft back. In order to get across there, we actually need the ladder, which is actually something we're going to get in the next dungeon we go to. Just like that heart piece. We can actually get that a little bit later. So once again, that's Dungeon 8. We don't want to go there yet. We will probably in part 2 of this video, but not this one in particular. Yeah, I don't think it's that bush. In fact, I don't think it's either of those bushes. Again, the candle, it will allow us to burn down bushes to expose secrets, but you can only use it once per area until you unlock the red candle, which allows us to do it as many times as we feel like it. Which means we could just sit here and just use it all day. So that particular port brings us to the next dungeon. Again, I'm going to sort of grind around a little bit around here first before we go there. Again, this is probably the least entertaining part of this particular game, which is running around and gathering stuff for the most part. It's definitely one of the things that they've sort of improved with later Zelda games. You don't have nearly as many quests that are this sort of grindy anyways. That was really something that was very unique to this game, something that I'm very glad did not carry over. Of course, that is not counting the Triforce quest in Wind Waker, which was the worst, the actual worst. Let's go back. I'm pretty sure there actually is one of these bushes. I think it's the first one. Nope. Of course, there's a special combination you have to follow in order to unlock different areas, which is kind of weird. Alright, so if we go down here, go across, I can't remember if we got this one already. So I know there's not one in there, but I know there's some stuff down the other way. Alright, so we didn't get the one in this room, which I believe if we just blow open those rocks over there, we should be able to get it. Alright, so we're going to switch to bombs. There we go. It's a secret to everybody. Well, then it's not... If it's a secret to everyone, it's not really a secret then, now is it? Of course, we're not going to pay the old lady to talk, because we kind of know where we're going. Of course, now we're stuck in this loop again, which is annoying. Yay, fairy! Alright, so that ring in the middle is what we want to get. Of course, these guys should actually drop items as well. And as long as we take about one at a time, they should actually be pretty manageable. Or I guess they're not dropping anything, okay. As I mentioned before, this is sort of a testament to how this game was really designed, because for the most part, if you don't have a lot of this stuff memorized, it is a bit of a pain in the ass to sort of navigate everything. Meet the old man at the grave. I did not mean to go back down there. Alright, fuck it. We're gonna go to the dungeon instead. Worst case scenario, we will have ground up enough rupees from this dungeon in order to get it after if we need it. So here is dungeon number 4. Again, all these dungeons have a very common theme, and that is they all look basically the same. I thought I equipped the boomerang, but I guess not. And the easiest way to take out these bats is actually to just throw the boomerang at them. Not even worry about whacking them with your sword. So we're actually going to go through here. Those guys we can totally avoid because of the fact that they don't actually drop anything. So there's no real reason for us to kill them, unless of course we have to. Because what happens, as you saw, is they actually split into bats whenever you kill them, which is fine, except for the fact that the bats don't drop anything and they don't drop anything. So there's no real reason to kill them if we don't have to. And in fact, we're just wasting our time if we do. So we have the compass at least. The boss, pretty far away, but that's okay. And again, the one cool item we're going to get out of this place is the ladder, which will come in handy when we get to the next dungeon, but also we can use it to get that extra heart piece as well as other items that are out in the world. As I mentioned before, it's a little bit tough to grind for hearts if you need them in this particular dungeon, since there are not a lot of enemies that actually drop hearts. So you have to be careful and sort of watch your health in this particular dungeon. Because these particular blobs and then some more blobs later on are really our only hopes. So here we're going to just go straight for this key door, because this will allow us to get the ladder, which we're going to need to proceed there. And of course we're going to want to actually take all these guys out now that there's actually a door that we need to kill all these guys for. See, the boomerang is just so much more effective now that it's the magic boomerang. Oh no, no, no! Oh, come on! I'm trying to kill the stupid blob and it keeps hitting me. There we go. Whew. Alright, so now we can just kill these guys in peace. And as I mentioned, this will allow us to get the ladder, which will be very, very helpful. Because even if we die here and have to come back with some more health, that's totally okay, now that we actually have the ladder, which will be a big help to us. And as you can tell, the ladder, pretty cool. It basically allows us to go over one space over the water. Of course, also when you're on the ladder, you can't actually really navigate around to other areas, so it can be a bit dumb. So we're going to run this way, grab the map. before we actually die, which is probably a certainty at this point. Given, not because this dungeon is hard, as I mentioned, it's because we don't really have any way of refilling our health before the boss. Without actually leaving and just coming back. Which you might actually just see me just die, leave, and then come back. Of course, this is the boss we fought before in the last dungeon. But we're dead, so we'll give it one more go, and then what we'll do if I find I'm low on health, we'll just run out of the dungeon and then just come back after we've gotten some more health. Again, now that we actually have the raft in the map, it'll make running through this dungeon a little bit quicker, given the fact that we kind of know where we're going, and then we can step over the areas that we couldn't before. Alright, so hopefully these oozes, instead of giving us rupees, will give us hearts instead, because we desperately need them at this point. Again, we can just use the ladder to step over this stuff. 1 rupee. Thanks for nothing, guys. Yeah, we can sort of go around like this. Don't really have to deal with these guys if we don't have to. Of course, he made it so we did have to. So what I will do is I will go back out, and we will just get some more health and just come back in. As I mentioned, that dungeon, not really difficult on its own. I really only lost like 4 hearts worth of life throughout for most of the dungeon, but the unfortunate thing is that you can't replenish your health. Even if we would have gotten to the boss, we still would have died. Unfortunately, these guys are being very, very, very stingy when it comes to both rupees and health at this point. Oh, this isn't looking good. Alright, found a fairy. Perfect. So once again, we'll just go back. Any rupees that we get along the way, on the way back, will be certainly helpful, but... Oh, so now you guys want to give me hearts, is when I'm full on them. Thanks. Alright, let's try this again. Once again, since we've already unlocked all the doors and we already have the ladder, navigating through this area should be pretty simple. The boss, unfortunately, will be a little bit more of a pain because we don't have full health, but not a big deal. I just love the fact that their eyes glow in the dark. It looks really, really cool. And it doesn't matter if we even get hit by those guys, because they don't really do anything. They just make it so we can't use our sword, but we're not using it at this point anyways. God damn you, you're hopping. Alright, so here's the boss from before. Let's just use a bomb, blow him up. There we go. And we only really have to kill him once, so if we have to retry, we don't really need to. Walk into the waterfall. Thanks, old man. Yeah, and for the most part, you can just walk straight through there. Now that part is really, really tricky. Not even just because we can't see, but they basically, if you just keep walking straight out the door, it's going to hit you. Fuck. Alright, so here is the lever to open the boss door. Of course, we are going to probably bite the bullet with this boss, but... Not even enough time to get a bomb off. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to quickly run back out again, go to that ferry, come right back. This should be the last time we have to do this. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, no matter how good you are, that place is a pain in the ass, and unless you go through it, only getting hit like 3 times or something. Which is a lot easier if we go into it with full health. We were a little bit cocky before, just thinking we could do it without having full health, but... Of course, if one of these guys would just drop 5 rupees, we'll also have the added benefit of the ring. And there we go. Alright, so we'll get our health refilled. Let's go get that ring, and then we'll head back. Because again, now we'll have it a little bit easier, like even easier than before. Again, the goal is not to get hit on the way to do this, though. Oh, motherfucker. You just came super fast to me. Alright, so here we go. 250 rupees well spent. Alright, now we're going to take this sumbitch out. as I mentioned before, having the full health bonus does definitely pay off. Unfortunately, we don't have it anymore, but as you notice, it took 2 hits to fully drain a heart now, as opposed to 1. So the damage reduction will definitely help in this dungeon. No, we don't want to show them the letter. God, the letter's so dumb. Alright, this will be a chance to get some hearts back. And our next sort of big purchase with our rupees will be the arrows for our bow that we got way earlier, which is why you've never seen me use it. Of course, the arrows themselves don't really serve a purpose this early in the game, so that's why we haven't gone for them yet. But we will in a bit. So again, here, since we fought the mini boss already, we don't have to fight it again. Walk into the waterfall. Yes, we know. You can also attack that old man, but he fights back, and you can't actually kill him. So. Fuck. I walked right into that one. Again, in order to push the switch, we actually have to kill all these guys. Which is kind of annoying, considering the fact that it doesn't really do anything for us if we kill them. Other than open the boss door. Alright, so now it's time to take this bitch out. As mentioned, the extra damage reduction from that armor certainly helps with that guy. Alright, so there we go. We have Triforce piece number 4. And yes, I accidentally hit the right trigger while I was flashing the number 4. Whew. Alright. So that's going to sort of do it for this particular Let's Play. Like I said, I'm going to do this in 2 parts. So we're actually going to be back next week for part 2 of this little jaunt through the Legend of Zelda. What do you guys think about this Let's Play? I apologize for getting lost for a while there. Again, let me know in the comments below whether or not I'm awesome, or I'm not very good at Zelda, or you like Let's Plays or you don't, or you just want to talk about Sabaro. Maybe you like Sabaro. Who knows? Buy something, will ya? You can find me on Twitter anytime at Ryan Turford. That's Turford. You can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Ryan Turford. And as well, you can find other videos right here on youtube.com/Ryan Turford. Until Friday, otherwise known as Ninja Friday, I'm Ryan Turford. Thanks for watching right here on youtube.com/Ryan Turford.